All right, folks, I've got 6 o'clock, so at 6 o'clock, I call this meeting of the Saginaw City Council order. Please rise for the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Item C, the invocation. Our friend Pastor Joe Rangel. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Glad to be here. Thank you. Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for this opportunity we have to be here, Father. It's an honor and a privilege, Father God, to stand before and make decisions together as one. I pray, Father, that your Spirit would move on us and ignite, Father God, something inside of us, Father, to not only just do the right thing, but to do, Father God, the things that help this community. We give you honor and we give you glory, and we praise you, and we ask it in Jesus' name. And everyone said, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. Item D is the audience participation. You can fill out a form with the city secretary and speak on any item that is listed on the agenda. Consent agenda. A is action regarding minutes of January 21st. B is action regarding resolution 2025-2, adopting the American City of Saginaw Americans with Disabilities Act Evaluation and Transition Plan. C is action regarding retired fire equipment donation. D is action regarding agreement to provide professional service between the City of Saginaw and Janus England. E is action regarding renewal of interlocal agreement with Tarrant County ESD for fire station EMS services in unincorporated areas. F is consideration action regarding ordinance 2025-04, addition, adding a definition of contractor and subcontractor requiring contractors to register with the city performing work. Any questions, comments on the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as described,
Thank you, Valerie.
presented.
Brack, a second. Brack. Motion passes. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. Thanks for coming out, folks. 3, employee recognition presentations. Gabe, what do we have?
Mayor, Council, we don't have any recognitions this evening, but the police chief informed me that our next meeting will introduce our newest officers that were hired in 2024.
Outstanding. Okay. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Item 4A, consider action regarding appointment for a city secretary. Melanie McManus, HR Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, Janice retired after 40 years of service, and then once Janice announced her retirement, we took the process of beginning to hire a new city secretary. So after we received 20 applicants, the applications were sent to all the interview committee staff for them to review. We had 5 that we wanted to interview, and then after the interview process was complete, the committee was in full agreement and unanimously recommends Vicki Vega as the city secretary.
Outstanding. Great. Well done by the committee. Great choice. Any questions, comments for Melanie? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve 4A as presented.
Second.
All second?
Mayor, could I just ask for clarification?
Yes, sir.
Does that motion include an indication of what pay scale, and I've discussed this with the city manager, I don't know if that's in the packet, but there should be some indication of what the employment term would be in terms of salary.
Yeah, if you want to, if it's agreeable to the city manager, but we would just follow our council-adopted pay plan.
Okay.
If that needs to be in the motion.
Yeah, that's, I think that it would be helpful if that were in the motion, just.
No. Okay, then I'll make a motion that we approve the consideration and action regarding the appointment for city secretary along the lines of the
With compensation
plan.
in accordance with the compensation.
In accordance with the compensation plan.
Thank you.
Paul, still second?
Yep.
Okay. Please cast your votes. Motion passes. Congratulations, Ms. City Secretary. Welcome aboard. All right, I want folks to realize that we've only had, are you the 3rd city secretary in the history of the city of Saginaw since we've been incorporated? All right, so you've got another good 20 years or so. I know Janice was it for 18 years,
16.
16, and Nan was it for, Nelda was it for how many before that? So
She said,
what did Nelda say?
I forgot what she told me.
Long time.
Long time,
So,
yeah, it was.
You got some big shoes to fill. We look forward to working with you, Vicki.
Yes.
Outstanding. All
So
right,
you have to stay a long time. You can try to beat all of them.
There you go. All right, we're going to move, I'm going to call small audible, we're going to move 4D up here. We're going to do 4D right now. Consideration and action regarding agreement between the City of Saginaw and Community Link Mission to operation and promotion of the farmers market at Saginaw Switchyard. Whitney Berry.
Right. Mayor, Council, I am Whitney Berry. I'm with Community Link Mission, and I run the Saginaw Farmers Market. This would be, oh my gosh, now my fourth season. It has been the 5th season of the Saginaw Farmers Market. I missed out on the first one, but was here for the rest of them. So the Saginaw Farmers Market, we really have aimed to create a space that's a community hub to really grow small businesses, be a place of education, not only for our vendors, but for all the community that comes. I know our vendors, they have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, right, on different aspects, and they're just pumped to give that away to different people, right? They want to teach people how to grow food, how to ranch, how to bake sourdough, how to take care of bees. All that information is at the farmers market, and the vendors are there to talk and give that information. It also is an equitable place for all members of our community to come. We want to try to do that with our SNAP program that we have at the market, so everybody can come and really kind of level that playing field. We know a farmer's market can be kind of a higher price range of certain items, a little bit different now, but so we try to have the Saginaw Farmers Market be accessible to everybody in the community. I'm going to touch on the highlights of 2024. The biggest one, our SNAP program, like I was just discussing. So for the 2024 season, we issued nearly $2,000 of SNAP to 67 community members. That is over a 50% increase from 2023. This increase is really thanks to our partnership with the Texas Health Community Hope, also Texas Health Resources, we know them as, and our inclusion in the Double Up Bucks program that allows us to double SNAP dollars up to $30 a day to spend on fresh produce. So a SNAP customer comes to the booth, they spend $30, we give them an extra $30. It's free money, basically, and it goes directly to the farmer, so it benefits the farmer and, of course, gets local food out there and healthy foods out to our community. Our partnership has also helped to provide different advertisements. So we sent out mailers, little kind of flyers that went on different doorknobs in specific zip codes, and these promoted the market, our SNAP program, the hours on the market, and told people about it when we were there so they could use their SNAP benefits. Also other advertisements, so we still had kind of a digital billboard. It was in White Settlement. Since it is the Double Up Bucks program, we share it with other markets, including Cowtown markets, the Azle market. It kind of, for our week that we have our market is when we're highlighted, and they'll highlight a different program that we have, a different vegetable, or when we have the holiday market, we had a billboard for that. So that's always good to get the word out. They also help provide equipment for our market. Any kind of signage you see around there, they help provide that for us, which is always good. We love signage. And the biggest help they've been able to offer this season was staff. I have 2 staff members on my team now, so really excited about that. That helps us to be able to grow our programs. And if many of you, have been at the market, and you'll see me all over the place, I am one person. I can only be in so many places at one time. So having our 2 staff members helps us to do more things, to be more present with the community, to be more present with the vendors, and to grow our programs that we have. Also, because of our staff members, we had 2 wonderful night markets this last season, our first time that we did that. I'm definitely a 6 a.m. girl, not a 6 p.m. girl, so having the staff members was a big help for that. We did these in collaboration with the Saginaw Concert Series, and they were a big hit. I think it also reached a different population, maybe that can't come to the Saturday market. They work, whatever their situation is, right? That kind of offered them a different space, and maybe they didn't even know about our market. I can't tell you how many times people come and are like, oh my gosh, I never knew this was here. I live right there. I don't know how that happens, but trying to get the word out however we can. I've also been in discussion with Vicki, so we're trying to plan 2 markets. We already have dates, 2 night markets for this coming season. We have one in June and October that we're gonna team up with and try to maybe get another 3rd one in there. That would be fun. Another huge success was we're calling them our mega markets. We had the final holiday market at the end of the season, and we were able to utilize the full new market space, right? So that was awesome. That was exciting. Our first time to do that out. There was a lot of logistics that we figured it out, how to get You know, I think I fit 89 vendors in that space. Yeah, so how do we get 89 vehicles in to unload? How do we do all that at one time? And with our staff members, we were able to have different people in different locations. The Public Works program, yay, they were there and really helped us. Public Works was even there helping vendors unload really early in the morning, so I love to see that. That was a big deal for me. They were on site the whole time. We had some issues with bathroom, whatever it happened to be, and I was able to find a Public Works team member to help. So I always love the collaboration. Looking ahead for our 2025 season, we have our Power of Produce program, our POP program that we do for the kids. It, oh my gosh, it's going to be so many different things about agriculture, sustainability, healthy eating, really any topic with that. We have a partnership with the Texas Center for Local Foods that is going to offer some support and assistance for this program so we can really boost it and grow it. The biggest thing that they'll offer support is to help increase sales of Texas agricultural products. So what that means is like beef, so think nat cattle, the honey, produce, of course, is always what we're trying to grow. Anything that is grown in as part of the agricultural system in Texas. So what we want to do with this is really kind of almost highlight a vendor. Like we could highlight nat cattle, for instance, and talk about the sustainable agriculture methods that they're doing and teach the children about that. They'll get what we're rebranding as moolah dollars, market moolah, and we'll increase the currency of that. It was $2. We're thinking maybe we can do $5, and that money is going to go directly back into our ranchers, our farmers, our Texas agriculture people's pockets, and that's help with that partnership. Another big thing, I know we did a post just the other day kind of asking people, hey, what do you want to see at the market, right? Produce, we know. I do too. I think about it all the time. It keeps me up at night. How can we get more produce? How can we grow local farms, local food systems so they're able to come to the market? It's hard. It's hard out there for a farmer, right? So we're always exploring different avenues to bring these farmers on. A big thing that we're doing, just to kind of cut that out, is to grow the produce ourselves. So we're able to get a freight farm. It's a container, a hydroponic container garden. So think like I always think 18-wheeler truck bed. It's going to be placed in partnership with the city of Azle, and we're able to grow food out of it and sell directly at the market. We'll really start kind of lettuces, greens, so think chard, of course, romaine lettuce, any kind of dark greens, and there'll be living lettuce. You've seen it at the grocery store, it kind of comes in the clamshell, has the roots on it, so it lasts a great deal longer. It can last up to 3 weeks. And it has healthy nutritional value, and we're able to sell that at the market, so we'll have more produce. It's coming. Yeah, so I'm really excited for the 2025 season and just the growth that the market has taken since it's been in production and just the continued growth. Any questions?
Questions for Whitney? Cindy, go ahead.
One of the things that I still have not seen at the market that I've asked for the last few years is a rehab station, you know, that Community Link needs to provide, you know, place for people to sit down, water, first aid, basic first aid needs and things like that. I still have not seen that. Is there any way we can write that into the contract so we make sure that that is taken care of? Because, I mean, and I'm going to repeat this again, I do this every year. I've seen people get overheated in the summertime. I've seen the wind pick up and knock people in the head with the poles of their little tent covers. Fortunately, you know, nothing has been real serious, but it would be nice to have something basic to tend to the people, you know, until, especially if you need, you know, the fire department or paramedics or something to show up.
I'm always open to any ideas. I know we've had CERT out at different markets, and that's always a help. I tend to always have a first aid kit on me, being a mom, and I bring that to the farmer's market, right, and have that. And we do have access. There's actually a food truck, South Cezanne, that has cold water, because that is kind of the necessary, especially when it's hot, to have cold water.
Depending on our vendors, you guys should be supplying that.
Right, I do bring water, but it tends to get hot, right?
Yeah.
When it's really
Y'all
hot.
have an ice chest or something to put them in?
I mean, we can, yeah, definitely. That is something we can have, but having that, they're literally steps away from our info booth, and they know I stand at the window and they know exactly what to hand me. It takes 2 seconds, so we've had that on hand too. And having those extra staff members too helps me to be able to provide more resources in that, right?
Well, I'd still like to make sure that, you know, y'all need something in that shaded area to be able to provide them, I think, just.
Mayor and council, I'd just like to say, we provide police and fire are at the events. I don't know that first aid or medical services would be a function of Community Link, but if we want to provide that on the city side this year with extra visibility. I think the points.
Yeah, what do you think, Chief? How do you think that could work, or what do you think about that?
If we provided fire and police,
Yeah, if we had folks there, would they need a station? Could they do it mobily? How would that work?
they would most often probably be in a central location so everybody knows where they're at. But I would say there would obviously be some cost to do that, right?
Well, we've got CERT as well that we could utilize, that are trained, to handle, basic type situations, and we wouldn't have to use staff.
Obviously, the farmer's market's not real far from the fire station, so there's not a big delay for us to get there. But if we position people there, that would be people that are not on duty for the day, so
But
we'll
this
just
is,
say that's a substantial cost, but we would be stationary there. We'd probably take our gator and just be there, and we could rove around, whatever fit the program. Understand it's spreading out a little bit, so.
but this is something that I've asked for, and I hear, yeah, we'll take it into consideration, but
Whitney, is that something that's customary when you've been benchmarking with other markets, that they have a station like that, or you've not experienced that in the past?
I haven't seen it.
Right.
So are we asking for like a paramedic or a nurse, or
No.
just a first aid
just basic,
station?
just a basic first aid station and rehydration station.
Okay.
Maybe snacks or something.
So we could, I know you all have like a station there that you think, so we could,
Yeah, they have
like
a
a,
booth there, but then,
but you could
but
have a
they go
little,
out to other vendors
could we
to
have a
get it.
sign made up that says first aid station with water and have one of those construction 5-gallon
They could have that,
with
yep.
water, and that would work?
I think so.
We probably should consider for the evening markets with the concerts. I went to the one in June, it was real hot, and there was probably at least 1,500 people there. So something like that, we probably should have somebody from the fire department there and police as well.
But that would exceed, that would be, to me, that would be on the city. That wouldn't, I wouldn't want to put that, you do put it on Community Link, then Community Link's going to have to turn back around and charge it to us, so we might as well just take care of it right off the
Well, I mean,
bat.
we're not talking, a high dollar thing. I
Right.
mean, this is just something, just to cover some basic needs, and if something more serious comes
Yeah.
up, then we reach out to police, fire if we need them.
So if we had, like I say, the orange 5-gallon with have a sign set up, said, first aid, have a first aid kit and water, that would be sufficient?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay,
That's
is that
what I've been
something
asking for
you all
years.
can do in your little spot there you
I
got?
mean, is this something we want to just have CERT do? We've got CERT, they're always asking to do stuff, could we just have them in all these markets?
They would have to approve this, or we could reach out to them.
And as a nonprofit, that's a liability that we'll be undertaking to provide first aid. None of us is trained in, none of them are trained in first aid.
That's why I'd have the city do our
So
CERT. do it.
that's not a liability that I am ready to assume as part of Community Link, so we would need to have, that would be a formal discussion.
I think we ask CERT to be a part of that, see if they want to do part of that. Is that a reasonable ask, Chief? What do you think?
We could do that. I think that's a pretty big commitment to be at each one of those events. Obviously, we've got people here associated with the CERT. I would ask them if they think it could be done. I'm sure they would give it a good try. I don't know.
I know that they're at some events, not all, of course, they have a CERT
Correct.
booth there occasionally.
And
but-
they do that exact same thing at these events,
Yeah,
like the 4th of July and Training Ground.
If there's going to be a commitment for every event, that would be a pretty big ask to make sure they're doing that. We could certainly try it out and see how it went, and then come up with an alternate plan if that doesn't fit.
I think that's great, let's see if CERT can,
It's a great recruitment
Let's see if-
opportunity.
yeah, let's see if CERT can do it as part recruitment, part rehab station.
We'll provide them with other materials they need to make it happen.
So, Brent, since the liability was brought up, what's the differential of liability of us offering somebody stage with water versus us not, and somebody dying of a stroke? Because I do know that there's the Good Samaritan law, because I took first aid, and they say that you can't be sued even if you're incompetent if you're doing that, so. Can you divide, if I
think
don't
that's
provide
an
it and I let somebody die of a stroke versus I try to help them and they hurt, but what's really the
So
risk?
the city's going to generally have immunity from all of those things, and you're going to have a greater level of pre-established immunity than a nonprofit administering some sort of aid, and you'd have to demonstrate if you were sued, and they'd have to take on the expense of defending the suit, right?
Yeah, the expense.
Just to assert the defense in the first place, whereas if the city were to do it, I mean, we're capable of
Yeah.
taking on that sort of litigation, and we would also have TML risk pool defense afforded to us, including the payment of any damages, which would be very unlikely given the governmental immunity that the city enjoys. So I definitely think that I would encourage the city to take on that responsibility,
Okay.
unless we're just talking about putting out a water station. I mean,
That's what I
it's
was
not first
thinking,
aid,
but-
So I don't know how we would have any liability for putting out.
And I'm thinking things like, you know, maybe Band-Aids or something if somebody gets a scrape, you know, if they get,
I mean, if it's a,
if they get something.
If it's a
I was at the rec
self-service-
center and I needed an ice pack and they brought an ice pack out and handed it to me. So, I
Right.
mean, we're not talking heart surgery here.
yeah, I mean, it just depends on what it is. I mean, if it's more of a self-service or you ask for
Yeah.
something and it's supplied, then I don't think the liability is any concern either way. But if we're administering some sort of aid to somebody, I would prefer for the city to do it.
Right, yeah, CPR and things like that, you know, I'm not asking Community Link to do that, but just some very simplistic.
Yeah, I definitely
means.
don't want to be pulling one of our firemen out of service to stand there for a
I agree.
potential. I definitely don't.
I think this is a great opportunity for CERT. I think this is sounds like a fantastic idea, because and as you said, recruitment as well for CERT. So I think,
Yeah.
why don't we have a CERT booth there every time, and they can
Yeah.
talk about providing this,
I'd still like to see us do, get some off-duty firemen overtime to come for the June evening market, especially with Knowles and McElroy being closed. There's going to be a delay there. And like I said, there was over 1,500 people, maybe 2,000 people there the last time, and that's.
You're kind of reading my
Pushed it.
mind. For those bigger events, when we know there's going to be capacity crowds, maybe we could commit staff to that.
okay, that sounds great.
That'd
Now,
probably the smarter
Keystone,
plan.
Who will be responsible for like, music in the parks and stuff?
So that, Randy's overseeing recreation. It'll probably be Vicki Weldon unless, yeah, I think, is that correct? Jared? Yeah.
But they would be the ones that would do that. Again, that wouldn't be Community Link. I mean,
Right.
Correct, and Whitney
all
mentioned
city
this, they're coordinating the night markets to be the same nights as the
yeah, they're
concert
just,
park.
they're piggybacking off of that.
Are there any other questions for,
I just-
Community Link questions for?
I didn't have, I just had a statement. I went to the Christmas, well, I go to a lot of the things, but, went to Christmas one. One, I didn't even realize you had opened up the, extra space. And so I'm really amazed because it was crowded. You guys had a lot of vendors. In fact, I talked to a couple of them sold out within, they had 2 hours to go. They had nothing to sell. So a really awesome, job there. It's, you know, some of the, I mean, like I say, there for a while, there was like elbow room only. So,
Yeah, and the other day, Fort Worth Foodie, somebody posted, "Where's good farmer's market?" And 3/4 of the people said Saginaw Farmer's Market.
Oh, I was watching that. I was checking all the comments, seeing who it was.
yeah. So my final comment is, I know that it's hard keeping it focused on, you know, produce, things like that. Keeping out the, I don't know what my daughters call it, but the ones where they just resell stuff, the mugs, things like that. But it's imperative that we keep doing that, because that's what's making, you know, along with your awesome stewardships, what's making it great.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yes,
I think it says a lot when all these other cities are benchmarking us or trying to steal our idea.
Yeah.
So we were first and we're best, so I appreciate the
Agreed.
legacy we built. Any other questions for Whitney? Mary, please.
Not a question, but I take advantage of this agenda item every year to compliment Community Link and the great job they're doing with the farmer's market. I've been a regular, you know, I go just about every single time. And it's growing, it's getting more and more popular all the time. And any of you that haven't been, I urge you to attend, because it's a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you. All the vendors love you. They're always like, Miss Mary, we love her. So great. So we appreciate the support.
And you managed to get through it with all the construction on Knowles this year, so.
You know, it was a journey. So here we are.
I got my ear bent a couple times by folks about when they're gonna have Knowles fixed. So I was like, yes, we're working on it. We're on top of that.
And I
Yeah.
do love the demos that you have, like with Mind Your Garden and Rescue Bee Ranch. and
Oh, that's the name of it. What's it called? Minor Guard?
Mind Your Garden.
Oh, Mind Your Guard, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were at the holiday one. They came out again. We'll probably get them 2 times again this time. They tried to do, like, beginning and end of season. I tried to get them out always.
Yeah, they're great, and I'd love to see more programs like that. I mean,
Yeah, that's what we're trying to aim with that, kind of the support for that pot produce program, is that we can bring out more demos and stuff like that, because it can be a little pricey. So having kind of that support to help gear up those programs is going to be beneficial.
when they get my 12-year-old granddaughter to eat collards willingly, it's great.
Oh, and that chili, yeah, it's very good.
She's 13 now.
Well, she was 12 when she ate them. She turned 13 a week ago.
Okay. Any other questions for Whitney? I did want to point out that this money comes from the hotel motel tax. It is not out of the general fund. It's not from property tax. It is from hotel motel tax, which we only have limited things we can spend it on. I was asking Kim what the rules were for that, and it's literally a use it or lose it on some of these things, potential. But this is a good use of our hotel motel tax to promote the city and provide a service that folks want. It's obvious by the turnout that people really want this kind of entertainment / food / community gathering. So, all right, anything else? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve item 4D, the agreement for 3 years with Community Link.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Nikki, second? Please cast
We
your vote.
need to add the statement about the first aid station, city providing that with this motion.
So it doesn't, if we're doing it, it doesn't need to be
Okay.
in there, because it wouldn't be a
We just
contractual
need to make sure
obligation
that
on
it's
Community
done.
Link.
Please cast your votes. Motion passes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Community Link. Look forward to 3 more years. All right, moving back to our original agenda, 4B, consideration action regarding ordinance 2025-03, calling a bond election to be held on May the 3rd. City Manager Gabriel.
Mayor and council, I don't have any information prepared that's new to you. So the bond committee was formed last fall to review projects for potential bond election. We have some draft language should you choose to select any or multiple propositions tonight. You'll recall from the presentation that the highest ranked project from the bond committee was a new animal shelter. There's been a lot of chatter on social media, as there always is. I'd just like to take a minute to talk about kind of the general design process, and then y'all can deliberate at whatever amount or no amounts if that's your pleasure going forward. So June of last year, I believe, is that correct? The city council approved a contract to do a facility assessment study related to an animal shelter facility. This was presented, I believe, in July. The architect was a registered architect that specialized in animal shelters, presented a needs assessment of, based on our population, ultimate build-out population, what a recommended shelter facility would be. They gave the council in that recommendation several tiers of options based on cost and different construction types, that sort of thing. There was no action taken. That was a workshop. That same presentation was taken to the bond committee, and that was essentially an entire meeting was related to the animal shelter. So the recommendation, and Lee could probably give you more detail if you're interested, range from something that was a complete brick and mortar facility to something that would be, more temporary modular buildings and everything in between, including prefab buildings. The bond committee deliberated and reviewed. I will give them credit to everyone who participated on the bond committee. They put a lot of time in it and above and beyond what was the meeting time. So there were multiple site visits to visit other animal shelter facilities, including Hearst, North Richland Hills, and Fort Worth, I believe. And their recommendation was to recommend a facility on the higher end of what the architect had presented. So, in fact, they do take into mind future inflation, construction inflation. They chose to recommend an additional $1 million higher than the cost estimates. So, one thing I would like to add is, based on recent discussions with a property owner, we feel like we could potentially reduce the estimate for the facility because our land acquisition cost is likely going to be much lower than what we anticipate. We're talking with a property owner that owns an industrial property at Defile and Minton, and it'd be approximately a 5-acre site. So for reference, the current animal shelter is on about an acre, shared parking with the Public Works facility, and amongst 4 buildings, we have, is it 6,000 square feet, approximately? Approximately. There's the main building, there's a quarantine, storage, I bet I'm missing another. But we have multiple buildings that are approximately 6,000 square feet. The bond committee recommended 17,000 square feet, and that is all one art facility. We're looking at approximately 5 acres. Now, that wouldn't all be built or paved for parking. There would be open space for walking dogs and outdoor recreation, that sort of thing. From there, the recommendations were related to streets. So we reviewed that. Jared Kersey is attending on behalf of Public Works. Randy is not available. No surprise, but streets are very expensive. Reconstructing streets are very expensive. There was some discussion online about, the appropriateness of the estimates related to projects, as we receive cost estimates from licensed professionals, whether they're architects or engineers. Professional services in Texas, we don't select our consultants based on price. And when they make a recommendation, there's 2 layers of review. So I saw some comments online, and the insinuation was, the city engineer or something has a blank check. This is patently false. So when we receive a scope of work for design services, it first goes to Randy Newsom and Jared, and they determine, they're going to tell the consultant what services are necessary. And then once we have an approved scope at the staff level, this comes to the city council for review and approval. So you'll recall design contracts that you've approved in the past. You approved design contract for our library and senior center with an architect. You've approved design contracts for our street reconstruction projects. I'm sort of preaching to the choir, but there is some misinformation out there related to the process. And, ultimately, the check valve on the appropriateness of cost starts with staff. So I don't think Public Works is going to recommend anything that is not appropriate from a design standpoint. The highest rated streets based on the PCI, no surprise to anyone, were, help me out, McElroy, or I may just pitch it to Jared.
Yes, it was McElroy Phase 2A and Industrial Phase 1, where Randy and staff, we declared 3 as critical, McElroy 2A, 2B, and Phase 1 of Industrial. So those were the most critical that we did.
So after a project is designed, by law, we are required, and the most cost in the project is in the construction phase. So this goes to public bid, and we select the lowest qualified bidder. That's not the low bidder. That is the bidder that is determined to be qualified. So as an example, if you want to do a street project and you're a contractor that has recently formed or never completed a street, it's likely we're not going to recommend you build streets because you don't have a track record. Staff also checks references on our contractors, and that's how we select in a competitive manner on the actual construction, which is approximately 90 to 95% of a project cost. It depends. We do the same thing for facilities. You may recall our current library, or the library senior center project. We selected a construction manager, the same basis. So we interviewed firms that were qualified to serve as construction manager, and then we picked Byrne. The fire station, Steele Freeman was a construction manager, architect was BRW. So I think there's some confusion there. I hope that kind of clarifies it. The last project area that we looked at was related to, we did talk about sidewalks, and sidewalks would be eligible as part of a proposition related to streets, if that's the council's pleasure to address sidewalks. Last project area was related to parks. The committee, took the higher recommendations from the Parks Board related to future park improvements. That happened to be William Houston Park which was a playground and a baseball field. Again, there was comments about the cost estimates. This would be bid, should voters approve, would be bid, and contractors would wait. So they may not be as high as what has been projected. It would go to the open market. If you'll recall, any public improvement is quite costly. Some of the specifics related to parks are the surfacing, so playground material. We've kind of set a pattern back in 2019 with the Willow Creek Station. When we replace playgrounds, that's kind of our template, is to have that pour-in-place surface, the rubberized surface, which is also accessible. I think that featured in the design elements for William Houston Playground, and then it was desired of the Parks Board for a baseball field and then appropriate parking. We have our existing ball field down the block here, and it's certainly got challenges with drainage, and yeah, we're just limited with what we can do there. So with that, we're happy to hear your feedback. You need to make a decision by February 13th if you'd like to call an election. Assuming you approve any propositions, the process for staff would be to get this information and send it out to residents. We would follow the same manner we did in the past, which is to send out a citywide mailer. I do believe if the council selects the bond committee's highest priority, the animal shelter, I think it would be appropriate and fitting to hold a town hall, a public meeting at the animal shelter to kind of talk through the costs, the limitations, the existing facility, that sort of thing. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions. I may pitch it to Mr. Kersey. Is there anything I missed? Yeah.
I got a couple questions just about logistics. So do we need two motions? One to call the bond election on May 3rd, and then one to what's going to be on it? How does that work? How should that work?
That could be a single motion.
Okay.
It's a compound.
But we have to say,
Yeah.
we have to say it's going to be on this date, and then these are what's going to be in it. A, B, and C, or whatever.
Correct,
How that
correct.
works out, and dollar amounts as well. A couple
May-
more logistical questions. So different categories. So animal shelter will be its own category, and I'm asking you. Animal shelter will be its own category, correct?
That's my understanding. So just for clarification purposes, I'm not bond counsel, so I haven't, I've just looked at this for the first time, but that generally you have to have different issues separated as different measures.
Right, we would the bond council would write the.
That's right.
But I'm assuming it would be, an animal shelter is one, let's say A, B could be streets, and C could be parks, roughly something like that.
Correct.
But bond council would write it up, and we would say, how many dollars for this, and how many dollars for this, and how many dollars for this, and it would have the appropriate level of detail. That's sort of how it works.
That's certainly what it appears in the resolution call.
I just want to let council know what's in front of us, and that's sort of what we.
Mayor, with bond counsel as advised, the suggested motion is written on your item, what number is it?
Oh, I see it on here, but it doesn't have a date on here, so that's sort of why I asked. So.
Well, that was the exact wording that bond counsel suggested that we use as the motion. But you're correct. The Proposition A is written to be for the animal shelter, so if there's a dollar amount you want to put there, we would put that included in the motion. B is streets and sidewalks, and C would be park improvements.
Okay. So that's sort of, council, that's what we need to determine. And so tonight, we have either tonight or the 13th, which would be have to be a special call meeting. So it's either now or another meeting, because our next meeting is the 18th, I believe, and that would be past the date. So that's sort of our restrictions here. Yeah, our next meeting, scheduled meeting is February the 18th. That would be beyond the date required to call this. So it's either tonight or we have a special meeting next week.
That's is if you want it on the coming up.
The May 3rd.
The May 3rd.
Correct. We could push it to November. We haven't done that in the past, so that would be a separate discussion as well.
Yeah.
But- So where do you want to start, council? So I think we all agree we want some kind of bond election on May 3rd. The question is, what is going to be in it and how much? That's what we need to determine as a council. So I will throw out a couple things. So at the top, from the bond committee, the top recommendation was an animal shelter. I think that was very clear that that's their guidance. Do we want that? Is council going to go with the bond committee's recommendation? And what dollar figure do we assign to that? Let's say that's Proposition A, hypothetically.
So I'll just cut to the chase here so we don't waste everybody's time.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of us have, definitely myself, have a lot of questions. Not against, I think we do need an animal shelter. We've got a lot of questions. I don't think you can get them all answered today. So I would like to table this to move it to the November election. I'd like to take a vote on that.
Well, I would question that. Are we going to get people to turn out for a November vote? Because May 3rd at least is a normal city voting time and school voting time. Can we get people to show up for?
I'm only one of 7, so let's make the motion. Let's see how she falls, and then we'll go back. If it's not, we'll vote on the May election.
So are you making that motion?
Mayor, I move that we table this to the November election.
Do I have a second for that?
Second it.
Cindy, second? All right, cast your votes. All right, motion passes, so I guess we're going to November. All right. Then do we want to talk about anything tonight, or we got lots of time to determine this, and if we're going in November, so.
I'd recommend that we get some meetings together and focus on it and really have a rock-solid plan for November.
Okay. Then I say we move on.
Yep.
Let's go to C then. C is consideration action regarding the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs Low-Income Housing Act Unit application involving 9% house credit, I'm going to read the whole thing, by Blue Ridge Atlantic Development LLC. So who's going to drive this? Is Mr. Esquita going to drive this? We're going to start with you. Let's start with you, sir. Welcome. And I'm sorry if I pronounced your name. You can tell me how to say it. All right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Ruben Esqueda. I am the Vice President of Development for Blue Ridge Atlantic Development. I am the developer proposing a independent senior living facility here on Main Street. My hope for tonight is that after I get to answer a few questions and show you what we're proposing, that we can get city support. We are applying for funds administered by the state, and a prerequisite to that is that we meet with City Council and we get your support as a concept that you do want to see here. We're proposing somewhere between 80 to 90 units. Again, independent living for seniors age 55 plus. The design will incorporate all the bells and whistles that you would expect from a Class A property. This includes units that are all Type A, ADA units. So day one, if someone's in a wheelchair, they're able to truly enjoy their unit. A clubhouse that will include services, things like annual health screening events, community events like your potlucks and your typical community enrichment programs, because we are, as developers, very concerned with the senior epidemic of loneliness. It's a major problem. It's affecting many seniors across the country. It's affecting their well-being and their mental health. And so what we do is try to create a catalyst for a place for community. This includes indoor amenities, like I said, a community room, a arts and crafts room. We will have a designated community program provider who will have a calendar and invite residents to come and participate and join. We have outdoor facilities as well, things like your pickleball courts and tranquility areas, place walking trails, pet parks, things of that nature. I did provide a presentation to staff yesterday. I don't know if you have that. I'm happy to kind of discuss that and further. Again, this is still the very early stages. We're not asking for any zoning changes.
Do you want to put that up on the screen, if we've got it?
Yeah, if you have it, that'd be wonderful.
I'm looking at Pedro. Do we have that? Oh, he's got a remote for you.
So I do ask, please give us a little bit of leeway here. This is still the very early stages. We put together a concept plan just to illustrate our intention, the big takeaways here. And we met with the planning department, so there's going to be some modifications to address ingress and egress. But the big things that I wanted to call out was we're very aware of our neighbors to the south. We do not want to create any issues with privacy, so we intentionally designed our buildings to, one, be as far north as humanly possible, And if we do have to have a building adjacent to our neighbors, we are, per the zoning requirement, capped to 2 stories, and will orient them in such a way where you're not seeing windows or patios or anything of that nature. You're seeing the back end of a building, just like you would if it was a single-family home. So that is our design intent. Again, we're going to modify this to kind of address some of the ingress and egress per the meeting we had with city staff. This is sort of to give you an idea of the design language that we intend to go with. Again, we'll be compliant with city requirements. We do like to have a little more of an artistic flair, make the property look nice and something that you'll be proud of for years to come. Interiors, like I said, just what you normally would expect. You'll have your living room, dining area, spacious bedrooms, walk-in closets. Every unit will have washer-dryer connections day one. Everything is elevator served, so no stairs. We'll have stairs for fire emergency, but residents will be able to take an elevator right to their unit, to their floor, I should say. In the event of a power failure, some sort of weather event, we always back up our elevators with a backup generator of some type. We have a place of refuge in the clubhouse, which we will provide water, access to a telephone, basic emergency services. We have a power management plan that if in the event this event takes longer than a couple of hours, we will immediately contact families and help with transportation and provide a short-term stay somewhere off-site if that ever occurs. Here is a little bit of what the facade, just to give you a sense of scale. Again, very early stages, so please bear with us as we develop our plans. Again, we'll do that in step with city staff to make sure. But again, we wanted to show that we are capping it very much a residential feel. So you're not sensing like it's not a 4-story building that's overlooking people's patios. No windows will be facing any of our neighbors. Very, very concerned. You can see there we have our clubhouse on the first floor, typically tucked underneath the units, so everything's sort of condensed and tight, and you don't, as a senior, have to walk. We were very conscious that folks are sometimes in scooters or in wheelchairs, and we want to make sure that it's accessible to as many people as possible. Things we also include in our community is refrigeration in the event more and more folks are now getting care or prescriptions mailed to them. We have actually a package room that will contain and hold those if they require refrigeration or if they're getting meals. Some folks are having a harder and harder time getting transportation to go to the grocery store, so we want to make sure that we can accommodate that. So again, just trying to show you a few ideas of sort of massing. Like I said, we oriented our buildings where if you're the neighbor to the south, that's what you should be seeing as sort of a brick wall. Again, nobody wants to walk out to your back door and see somebody peeking over your property. This is your typical 1-bedroom unit. Again, very much designed to where there's minimal turns or corners. The bathrooms are ADA day one, and you're able to get in and always thinking about our older citizens. And then we do provide a 2-bedroom option. We find that most of the time they're single occupants, but we do have couples or folks that want the option of a 2nd bedroom, because a lot of folks are downsizing from a home. They do like to have that extra storage space, so we want to make sure that we accommodate them as well. And that's the end of my presentation. So happy to answer any questions.
Yes,
I'm going to call an audible. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to call an audible. We're going to go into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.07.
There's something sticky there. Ugh. Y'all got it so cold in here.
Sally, you're acting like it's cold in here again.
It is cold in here. Feel it in my hands.
Are you that cold? I'm not that cold tonight. I was last time.
Oh, my gosh.
You get
And I
air-
don't get
is air
cold.
blowing on you?
Oh, yeah,
Is it?
yeah. Yeah. I don't get cold. I leave my house on 70 year
This
round.
room is just so hot. It's just
I know,
not-
I
It
know.
really is.
And there's no sense in y'all being hot, but my hands are freezing.
All right, I have 7:04. We're back from executive session, so back to where we were. Please, sir. Back up here, and I think we might have a couple questions for you, but thank you for your patience. I appreciate
no, my
that. So,
pleasure.
council, questions for Mr. Esquada?
Close enough, yeah.
Tell me how you say it.
Esqueda.
Esqueda.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I want to say it right.
Thank you, thank
So,
you.
council, questions for this gentleman?
Yes, when I got the plan yesterday, I looked at it, and this property is zoned MF1, but there's a couple things that don't meet the requirement, like the minimum square footage is, for a single unit, is 650 square feet.
Okay,
And then also the setbacks don't meet the MF1 requirements.
right. Yeah, we got that comment. So the unit size will be adjusted upward to whatever the minimum requirement is, if not exceed. And yes, we spoke with planning department about some of the ingress, egress, and setbacks, and we'll get that revised.
Other questions, council? Cindy, please.
I had one question. You had talked about elevators, and you said you had backup generators in case the power went out. In the event of a fire, they normally don't want you to use elevators.
Right.
So how do you plan to get your residents off the second floor in the event of a fire?
Right, so typically our buildings will have an elevator located at the center. That's our normal use, right, centrally located. But in the event of a fire, we typically have stairwells on the ends of each building, and they meet whatever the city requirements as far as maximum distance. So in the event of a fire, there should be at least 2 stairwells for each building.
Right, and if you have, are you not going to have any ADA residents up on the upper level? Are they just,
No, there should be, yes. Every unit is considered a type A unit, so everything is either ADA day 1. We at minimum have 5%, but more likely we'll have more that are 100% ADA, where the cabinets are at the correct heights, roll-in showers, all of that. The other remaining 95% are adaptable, where they're easily converted, where we can pull a cabinet out if you need to wheel underneath it.
Right.
We also have set aside 2.5% of our units for those with audiovisual needs, so contrasting colors, and then the special, when you click the doorbell, a special light will flicker. So the intent is that if you're in a wheelchair, you can stay at any unit and have access to it and be able to get in and out, and then we'll make reasonable accommodations as
so
needed.
if you're in a wheelchair on the second floor, or have a walker on the second floor, how do you get down?
Oh, that's, okay, yeah, I see where you're going.
That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, generally, we keep them on the first floor. If someone, that's a good question. We probably will, and in that case, maybe just restrict them to the first floor then.
'Cause I
Chief,
had
these
to
would be
have
required to
surgery.
be sprinkled, correct?
They will be sprinkled, yes.
Because sometimes you might have a fall or something, and you're living
Yeah.
on the second floor, and you're not expecting that
Yeah, no,
wheelchair
that's
walker
a,
situation.
yeah, I mean, for sure, all our first floor units are ADA. Those, when we talked about the 5 and 2.5%, those are typically on the first floor, because folks generally do not want to go up to the second floor, so it sort of naturally happens that way. But to your point, yeah, we can make a policy to within the letter of the law to curb that.
So just try to get the thought process going.
Yeah, no, thank you that's a great point.
Thank you.
Council, other questions? You said 80 to 90 units. What will determine how many units you end up building?
Final design, so we are capped on height and setbacks, so we're actually going through that exercise now. It'll naturally sort of play out, and then it always seems to be a mathematical thing. Two units, or you stack them on top of each other, and the architect is working out that design right now. It will not be more than 90 units, but no less than 84. somewhere in that range.
Okay.
And I do have another question.
Go ahead. Sure, Cindy.
You know, you were talking about, this is income-based, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, you know, I guess I'm concerned about some people being able to afford, you know, the ability to live there. I mean, how are you going to make those decisions?
Right, so we are mixed income, so we have units set at different income bands. So anyone making 30% of the area median income all the way up to 80% of the area median income will have several units for each band.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have a price range for what those units may cost?
Yeah, every year it's updated by HUD and based on the county's population. I believe on this one, if memory serves, the lowest unit would be 350, and the highest would be somewhere around 1,000 door, somewhere in between there. But we have options at each level.
You had mentioned amenities. I know amenities are a big thing. Like, I know you mentioned, what else? Refresh my memory on the amenities you mentioned. I'm sorry, just to make sure, because you talked about some niceties, and refresh my memory on those.
So we have our kind of two programs is inside outside, right? We were very conscious that, you know, I'm a native Texan, so in June, July, August, not the best time to be outside. So we have in the inside, air conditioned, we have what we call our great room, which is, think of it as like a large meeting space with tables and chairs. I don't want to say kitchen because that has implications, but a station where you can have like a potluck and a refrigerator. We have things like a hair salon where we bring in, there's chairs provided, and then we find a local person who will come over set their own schedule. It's an independent business that they run themselves, so they're fully insured, and they run it. We have a arts and crafts room, game room, so folks who want to play chess or poker or whatever have a room there for themselves. If we have the space, we like to have a theater room for, you know, weekly movie events, things of that nature, popcorn machine. And then on the exterior, we like to have, on this one, we'll probably have it consolidated in one area and then surround the property with a walking trail with benches located every, I think 20 feet is kind of what we've determined, with shade structures, so that, you know, someone who's walking their pet are able, if they get tired, able to take, you know, step breaks at intervals and be under the shade, either through a pavilion or a tree. Tranquility Center, which is probably our most popular amenity. Think of it as a really nice landscaping feature, usually very tall hedges, and there's some nice pavilion seating area with like a tranquility water feature of some sort. Just kind of giving you something to, you know, given a reason to get out of your apartment, walk somewhere, have a destination. And then pickleball court has become very popular over the last 10 years. We are starting to do that on standard on all properties. Barbecue, pavilion kind of station where folks, if they wanted to have a birthday party or something of that nature, they're able to go outside and turn on a grill and make some hamburgers or whatever they want to do. So yeah, try to have a diverse, you know, and everyone's different. Some folks like more quieter type of events, and some like a little more community party kind of vibe, and we try to be very considerate about giving a little bit of something for everybody.
Have we talked, and this is a question for staff, about how can we get these folks to our new senior center or bring our senior staff to them? Have we thought about that, or how that might work? Got any ideas?
We haven't had any discussions. It's
Okay.
been mentioned in the past, we do have a contractual arrangement with nonprofit to provide low-cost transportation, $250 a trip, so.
Let's just put it on the horizon to consider that as we go forward with this, because we'd love to get these folks incorporated in our brand-new fantastic senior center across the street. I think there'd be an opportunity for this community to become involved, but that's just something that popped in my head. So.
Okay.
Other questions, council? So I think, remind me of the process. So if we're considering a resolution that I think, so if you get this resolution, then what's your next step? How does this work?
Yeah, this is really just one of the first few steps. There's still a lot of work to do in front of us. What this will do, if you tell us that tell TDHC, Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, the state of Texas, that you support the concept, then we will submit an application to the state, which is due at the end of this month. for funding. If awarded, we have a clock that we have to break ground within, I think, about 12 months roughly from award, which usually occurs over the summer. Through that, while we wait for that process to make its way through the state, we meet with city staff and the planning department, and we've already had one meeting, which has been a great meeting. The second meeting will then provide a early set that says, here's our proposed design with now the feedback we received. Take a look at it. Once they approve it, the kind of civil set, the overall layout, then we move to the building side, and then we work with the city on that piece. Thankfully, the property is already zoned, so there's not, won't have to come back to you and request any zoning changes. There may be a time where we have to request some kind of variance if we have a hardship. Right now, we hope not to do that, but really, it's just a matter of get it to the state. There's still a chance we do not get funding, and if that occurs, then we'll try again next year. So there is still several hurdles to jump, so it's not guaranteed per se, but this is at least the first and usually the biggest step for us.
So if all goes as the way you plan, you could be breaking ground by summer of '26?
Potentially, yeah, breaking ground kind of late 2026.
Okay. All right. Well, council, other questions, comments? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Council, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve 4C as presented.
Okay. Is that good enough? All right.
And to approve the resolution of support as presented, yes.
Yeah. Please cast your vote. Motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck, sir. All right, moving forward, this is 4D. Consideration action regarding resolution 2025.03, 2025 work plan. City Manager Gabe Brain.
Mayor and council, this is, you'll recall I sent an email back around the holidays requesting your feedback for work plan projects for 2025. The list before you is what I've received from council members. I have two additions. One is from Councilmember Big Horse to add the review of the rental inspection program. Another is from Councilmember St. Clair to create a ADA review committee of city staff. Receive feedback to have a timeline or a flow chart of these projects. Happy to accommodate that feedback. I think it's a great idea. You'll recall we created our website to track our projects. A lot of these things I can't commit to a timeline or what your appetite is for money until we present it to you as workshop items, more or less. So with that, happy to answer any questions. I will read the list briefly. That with the two additions, if that's the will of the council, that puts us at 15. That's plenty of projects to keep us busy. One is the establishment of a community garden committee. We discussed that at a past meeting. Next project is discussion of relocation of the depot building. Next is design criteria for carports. The next is updates to our employee personnel manual. The next is a 2025 bond informational awareness. Based on your action, we've delayed, although this may be a consideration in November. Community Special Events Committee, creation of a Friends of the Park or other related nonprofit. Decorative lighting project, this would be a carryover. The old fire station redevelopment. Tree assessment citywide through a nonprofit or a grant. Happy to report that our finance department has made progress on the Texas Comptroller Transparency Star program. So I sent out a blurb to you a couple weeks ago about that. We've got the initial star, and we'll keep up with that program. Review of engineering and design services, and review of the Public Works work order software. And again, the two additions would be the rental inspection program review and the creation of an ADA, staff ADA committee. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, comments on the work plan?
The only comment I got is, can we extend like we did last year and get you to give us a monthly update in the council?
Yeah, absolutely. So that seems to have worked to provide monthly updates. We will, for the public and anyone interested, we'll keep that up, the progress on the projects updated on our website. We are able to include video clips when we discuss these various projects, so I think it's good to get the information out there and show the times we've discussed various topics.
Cindy, question?
Yeah, I have a, again, back to the Gantt chart type question that I've asked you for several years. Again, it's really hard to determine, what we want to work on and what we can't without some sort of estimate, a starting point. It's not a commitment, it's just an idea.
Yeah.
For example, the decorative lighting project, we know that we're looking at least, $300,000 for that,
No, that project, we left that project with doing a demo and potentially, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
so that's a
for the full
carryover.
project, we're looking at about $300,000 or more, based on the numbers that
Sure.
we received earlier.
Yeah, so.
It's just,
Yeah, go ahead. I think
You know-
including estimated costs, what we know of right now, that's something we can absolutely include.
and I think that's really important, because otherwise we're looking at an open checkbook. We really have no idea what these are going to cost us,
Yeah.
and, what sort of time, investment.
Sure, so keep in
It makes it
mind,
very difficult for
Yeah.
us. And I've worked in research and development almost
Sure.
my entire career. I mean, and these things move, they change, they cost more, sometimes they cost less. The schedule slides out, sometimes you can pull it back in. But you need a plan, not
Right.
just a list of things. You need to have a description of what it is that you want. We need to know what those points are that we're trying to accomplish, and when they're done, the criteria that we want to be able to accomplish. Like the Community Garden Committee, that really doesn't tell us anything.
hey, that's,
Other than-
yeah, that's great feedback. And what I would say for any or all of these projects is it probably starts with a workshop or an informational type item from staff to the city council so that we can get your feedback first. To answer your question, I think it's a great example. There's no decisions made or no outcomes recommended for the community garden, right, other than we're going to talk about it. I completely agree with you that the city council needs to be aware of
Well, and
of the
I think
costs, but the council would also take action on costs if any of these projects do, they either roll into the budget or we do them separately. But I think it's great feedback.
So in your monthly report, the money that we've spent on each of these tasks, that needs to be reported to us.
I think that's fair.
And so.
And again, we can
and I
tack that
love
on
the
our
workshop
website as
idea.
well.
Let's sit down, figure out what we want to do with each of these projects.
Yeah, so I would say what has worked in the past year is to, if this is the list y'all are comfortable with, I would not recommend adding anything else because we're at 15, and that's pretty healthy. Mr. Randy Newsom is not with us this evening, but our previous project list was 13. He's the most superstitious man I've ever met, so now we're at 15, and I think we're in a better place with 15 projects.
So I think we need to cut too, is what you're saying. That's what I heard.
Don't do that to Randy, I mean, or to me for that.
Somebody text Randy and tell him it's 13 now, and
Yeah.
we're going to have a mandatory Friday the 13th meeting that he's got to attend as well, so.
Love it.
Yeah, but your point is well taken. More information. I think hopefully the website has been useful. I know to be able to go to the city council clips, it's been helpful on the staff level to say, okay, this is when we talked about, decorative lighting or whatever
Well,
project.
where is this link to the work plan project on the website?
It's off our main website. Maybe
Right.
Joe could go there.
Let's go see it right now.
Yeah, in real time.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So if you go up to government, it is the last one right here, work plan project, all the time. And then it'll take you to all, this is 2024 because we haven't adopted the 2025.
Okay, I don't see that work plan project on the homepage.
So if you go to the homepage and you hover on government, and you will click on work plan project.
On government, okay.
I will also give a shout out to our meeting live streams and our meeting recordings for those who are watching at home, if you want to watch recordings, since I'm already on camera and talking about it.
Thank you, Pedro. All right, nice. Other questions on the 2025 work plan list? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion, we approve Resolution 2025-03, the 2025 work plan.
Okay. Have a second? Mary, second? How do we get back to the voting screen?
Yeah, I don't.
Hey, there it is. Cool. Please cast your vote. Motion passes. All right, we got a plan. Let's start working it. Son of a gun, I think that's it. That's everything, isn't it? I don't see any other executive sessions on here, right, Bren? No more need to talk? I'll entertain a motion. Brack, second? Motion passes at 7:24. We're out of here. Thank y'all, folks.